Thrive Market is kindly sponsoring today's video. Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today. I thought for today's video we could do something a little fun. I thought we could take a look back at all the things I planned to bring in my hospital bag, see what actually wound up getting used, and see what stuff I didn't even take a look at. The thing about going to the hospital to deliver my first baby is it was not my first rodeo of being in the hospital. With Crohn's disease, with living with a permanent ostomy bag, I have been hospitalized a number of times. But I've never delivered a baby. So that was totally new territory. There were things that I absolutely found useful and I feel like I knew that I was going to use. You know, I've been there, done that. And yeah, they were definitely going to be handy. But there were other things that, looking back now, I feel a little silly for packing. You know, I definitely could have saved some room in my hospital bag. And I wound up bringing another bag on top of the one that I originally showed you guys, because around 28, 29 weeks, I made a video just going through everything that I had packed. And yeah, so we'll take a look back at that. Before we jump into it though, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Thrive Market. I am about 8 weeks postpartum. Actually, no, today is 8 weeks postpartum. Holy cow. Yeah, I'm 8 weeks postpartum. And what I've realized about having a baby is about every 5 seconds, you think of something that you need. So I've made a number of purchases so far in this postpartum period with Thrive Market because they have so much of what I need. I have made a number of purchases with Thrive Market lately because A, I'm eating everything in our house. B, it's just hard to get to the grocery store at this point with a newborn. And C, I am finding it harder and harder to find affordable yet healthy options at the grocery store. It really seems like that's becoming more and more difficult. Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store that has a variety of high quality and healthy food items, pantry items, household goods, things like that, even personal care items. I get nearly every pantry item from Thrive Market, things that I replace frequently because I just get the best value, but also the highest quality from them. Plus, right now, the convenience of just having it delivered to our front door is very helpful. It's very helpful. Last month, I did a huge restock during one of their sales, and now they're actually having their biggest sale of the summer. So I'll probably be jumping online shortly to take a look. They have so many brands that I already loved prior to becoming a member of Thrive Market, but then they also have introduced me to a number of new brands, things that act as healthy alternatives to items that I already love. They restrict over 1,000 questionable ingredients, so it really does make it easy to swap out items to maybe something a little bit healthier for you. Now it's time to take a look at the stuff that I got. See, these chomps are a perfect example of one of those swaps because I could just get regular jerky, but these are definitely a healthy alternative, and as you can see, we've really enjoyed them. I got a little bit more olive oil because I tend to go through that pretty frequently, and I nearly dropped it on our table, but got more of this. Ooh, I got these Alfredo mixes. These are fantastic if you want to do like a chicken pasta Alfredo, maybe add a little bit of broccoli. These are really good, highly recommend. And you can't go wrong with sun-dried tomatoes, especially in the summertime as I'm waiting for my tomatoes to come in. These are great to have just hanging out in the pantry, ready to go for random recipes. And it's a great way to try something new. That's one of my favorite things to do on Thrive, is to see all their new items. But I wanted to try some protein bars because breastfeeding really makes me hungry, and so I realized I have to have a snack with me everywhere I go. This is a little sampler pack. I can try the different flavors. Thought it would be something to try. I always love to share about the ability on Thrive Market's website to filter through different diets and different values that you might have, because I just personally know a lot of people that might have certain ingredients that they avoid or certain diets that they follow. And I know that a lot of people on YouTube who follow me probably have some restrictions too. And it just makes it easy to filter out those ingredients or filter by a diet to see what you can eat and what you can't. That takes the time out of, sifting through grocery store shelves. That's like very timely. It's very time consuming, takes a lot of effort. you know, this just removes that. Like I said before, they are having their biggest sale of the summer. They're doing a little preview from July 6th to the 9th, and then they're coming back with the sale July 19th to the 22nd. So maybe if you need a little bit more time, want to do some window shopping, add stuff to your cart, take a look, and I think you're really going to enjoy all of the selection that they have. With their summer sale, you can get 25% off a curated member favorite selection. Things like Simple Mills, Aloha. Actually, hold on. Oh, these are Aloha. So you know what I'll do? I'll try the different flavors, see which ones are my favorite, and then if I do have a couple of favorites, I'll get some more during the sale. That would be a smart move. Yeah, so you can get 25% off select items during the summer sale, but if you go to thrivemarket.com/LetsTalkIBD, you can shop that sale as well as get 30% off of your first order plus a free gift. This is really the perfect time to join, the perfect time for me to shop, but also for you to shop. So make sure to head on over to thrivemarket.com/LetsTalkIBD. Yeah, all right guys, let's get back to the video. Okay, so let's start talking about the stuff that I was pretty sure I was gonna use and did not use at all. The first thing that I don't think I even touched, maybe I did once and realized this isn't for me, is my boppy pillow. We did bring that into the hospital. The thing was, I said, I'm gonna keep it in the car, and then if I feel like I need it, Zach can go get it. After I delivered, after baby popped out, Zach brought everything in from the car because I just did not have the sense about me to tell him what I needed and what I didn't, so he grabbed everything. And I think that boppy pillow sat in the corner of the room the entire time we were there, and then upon discharge, it was more of a pain to bring out with us and remember, don't forget it in the hospital room, so I didn't even touch it. I found that because I'm a short person, she doesn't really fit well on it. I feel like I need just a blanket. That's what I've been using, folding a blanket up, and that's been perfect to help breastfeed. I've actually used the boppy pillow more just to sit her up when we're playing with her. Definitely did not need to bring it to the hospital though. Something that I knew would definitely be used and absolutely was used was my Ostomy travel kit. In my original video, I just had everything in a plastic bag, but I, a few weeks later, transferred everything to a little cooler kit. And that was such a nice, discreet way of storing everything. But yeah, that Ostomy kit was absolutely used. Obviously, I had to empty my bag at some point. Because I had an epidural, there was no me getting up during labor to empty my bag. It was a really easy thing too to say, hey Zach, get my flowery travel kit from my bag so I can grab an ostomy bag and pop off. That's how I changed it, was I popped off my ostomy bag from my flange and just clipped on a new one. And then I disposed of it in my little fab little bags. They were fantastic. I absolutely used them as well during labor. That turned out really well, just how I emptied my ostomy bag. It worked out great, except for the fact that I was completely numb and I wasn't 100% sure that I clipped my new bag on very well. That was used. The other thing that I used a ton was the deodorizer. Yeah, didn't wanna gross any of the nurses out. So I was using my deodorizer, just really everything in that bag I was able to utilize, except for I think my flanges and anything to do a full ostomy change. I didn't need it. I was only in the hospital, I think less than 48 hours, so I didn't need to worry about it. But it was so good having it on hand, easily accessible, everything in one place. Something I was excited for, I purchased specifically for after having Nova, was a new pair of pajamas. They were so cute. Didn't touch them. Didn't touch them. You know what? I had this picture in my mind that I would wear these cute pajamas and I'd have Zach take pictures of me holding her. That didn't happen. I was so miserable in the hospital, so completely exhausted with almost no sleep, that I didn't care what I looked like. I was going more for convenience. What did wound up being used pretty well, a lot. That doesn't make sense. I use this. I use my robes. I use my 3/4 length sleeve robes. That worked out really well. That was very convenient for just popping the ladies out to breastfeed. Something that I did a whole lot of the first 48 hours because she started cluster feeding about 24 hours after she was born, and I fed her for 2.5 hours straight. I thought I was gonna lose my mind, but it was really easy just to open up that robe, and it looked cute. Like, I felt like I looked at least somewhat put together because I had a cute robe on. Yeah, that was used. Pajamas, not so much. Something I was really disappointed that I did not use, and I really couldn't, I guess I could have, was the little rainbow onesie that I got Nova. The reason being is it was too big for her. I had brought newborn sizes. Actually, I did bring preemie. Thanks to one of my viewers on here. I brought a preemie onesie, a newborn onesie, which was that rainbow one, and then I brought, I think, 0 to 3 months. And she was fitting preemie sizes just for like the first week or so. She got out of them pretty quick, but yeah, thank you to the person who sent preemies because I didn't have anything. I wound up panic buying online some preemie onesies to get delivered like the next day. And again, only used them for a couple weeks, but I was so disappointed. But now she fits in that onesie. It's all good. I really like the 𝙬𝙤𝙧𝙬 onesies because they're so stretchy. So we've been taking them to the pediatrician because it's something that we can really quick take off of her and put back on. I got her the little headband too with that onesie, and I have yet to put a single headband on her. I think that we have probably 50 of them. I think everybody's gotten us some headband for her. I want to start using them though. It's one of those things where it's like you put it on a baby to take a picture, it's not going to stay on. Like, a baby's not going to keep that on. Plus, I'm like, I don't want it to put dents in her head, so it's really for the picture. I'll put it on her eventually. Something that I highly recommend that you bring, and worked out really great for me, was a shower bag, or not a shower bag, but like a toiletry bag, because in the bathroom, there was no counter space. There was nowhere to store anything. That was kind of annoying. So having the shower bag, I could hang it up in the bathroom, and it was the kind that opens up and you can see and access everything pretty easily. That worked out so well. I could get into everything. Everything that had to do with showering or putting on makeup, I did use. And I know some people are like, why the heck would you bring makeup? I always bring at least a little bit to the hospital anytime I go, because it's one of those things that makes you, if you often put on makeup, it makes you feel like yourself again. Really does. I used all of my toiletries almost as immediately as they let me. I was asking the nurse, I think right after birth, when can I shower? And I took a shower as soon as they let me. And I put on makeup as soon as I took that shower. It really, both things really made me feel so much more like myself. And I think in that toiletry bag, I brought a few things from Thrive Market that I purchased. The deodorant wipes, I use them. I use them the night, like an hour after I delivered, because you get disgusting. Oh, birth is gross. You get so sweaty. And I kept apologizing to everybody who came in the room. I'm like, I'm sorry if there's an odor. I'm gross. I'm disgusting. So those wipes were amazing. I used, I think, the nipple butter right away, because that night where I did the 2.5 hour feeding, I was so raw. Thankfully, I haven't had too much of an issue breastfeeding since. But yeah, they were raw. Anytime that she was cluster feeding, I use that stuff. I did not need the diaper balm and still haven't, but I'm keeping it on hand just in case I do need it. And then I think the other thing was, oh, was it Mother's Love Balm? That I'm just starting to use. I'm 8 weeks postpartum, like I said earlier, and it's like, I think the hormone fluctuations, things are dry and just like a little uncomfortable. So that stuff has been great for that. I also brought a lot of postpartum specific items. So one thing that I had a lot of people say, like, don't even worry about bringing that, was my peri bottle. And I actually used that because this is what happened. And I'm really glad that I had it. The night after I delivered my first bathroom trip, the nurse came in and she realized that she had forgot to get me a peri bottle, and she wound up using mine. I said, hey, I know I'm already on the toilet. You have stuff you gotta do. Let's just use mine. The funny thing is, she put very hot water in this thing, not realizing. And she squirted the bottle, and I yelped because Boy, it burned a little, burned the downstairs. So yeah, we got some cooler water and then, you know, proceeded. But yeah, I loved that Perry bottle. I'm so glad I brought it. Plus the ones that they had, you didn't, like, you had to turn it and kind of maneuver a little bit more. The one that I brought has a little arm and it just got up in there a heck of a lot easier without me having to move so much. So loved that. But as for all of the other stuff, I didn't use a whole lot of it. I just used their underwear, I used their ice packs and their pads because might as well use it while I'm in there and then save my stuff. The only thing that I did use was my Frida underwear, and that was the day that we left. And the reason I used it was because the mesh underwear that they have doesn't provide a lot of support. The Frida underwear are really nice. I used them for about a week and they just felt like they contained everything. You kind of feel like your organs are gonna fall out of you, and this just kept it all together. Something that got a lot of use was my Mom Cozy nursing bras. And I actually, after I made my video around 29 weeks, I got more of them because I thought that they would be helpful for those first few days of nursing. Just, I felt like maybe it would help conserve my, I don't know, privacy. I mean, I think everybody saw the ladies, even the food delivery people and the custodians. Sorry about that. Yeah, everybody saw upstairs. But I felt like the nursing bras gave me a little bit of privacy because I could just take one lady out at a time. I felt like there was a little bit of coverage. I don't know, they worked out really nicely. They're actually very similar to my Comfly bras. So yeah, I kind of switched between the two, but mainly I use my Comfly bras. The Mom Cozy ones though, very helpful. And that's what I brought to the hospital. That's what I wore. It made me feel like, because they look nice too, it made me feel better about myself too. So something else that I got a lot of use out of, and I didn't think that I would use it for this reason. I didn't even think of this. I brought along one of those portable rechargeable fans, and I thought, oh, I could use it during labor if it gets really hot or if they put me on magnesium and I just feel sick. But I didn't use it during labor at all. I used it postpartum though because baby girl had a little bit of trouble getting her temperature up, and so they had my room really hot. It was warm in there. So I used the fan for myself. I hooked it onto the bed and had it pointing at me because I was sweating like crazy. Postpartum, night sweats, ugh. So it was getting a lot of use then. It's getting a lot of use now. We actually got a second one. My cousin got me one. And so I'm glad that we have two. There was something in my video that I was definitely thinking at the time, I gotta bring it. And I didn't even wind up bringing it because as I got closer to giving birth, I feel like I gained more information. You know, I'm online looking up information as well. And I did not even bring any sort of pump. I did not bring a hand pump. I did not bring my Spectra. I didn't bring even a Haka because you really don't use any of that for the first few weeks. I didn't realize that at the time, but as I got closer and learned more about breastfeeding, I realized I don't even need to bring a pump. I don't need to worry about it because I'm gonna be breastfeeding her. I hear her, hold on one moment. Speak of the devil. Yeah, I was gonna be breastfeeding her and that was gonna be it. You don't need to pump. So didn't even bring them. Didn't use them for a while. I used, you know what would have been helpful is the LV silicone cups that you can place in your bra for leakage. That might have been helpful. I didn't really have a ton of leakage. My milk came in, let's see, I gave birth on the 8th, the evening of the 8th. My milk came in the morning of the 10th, the morning that I was discharged, in full force because she cluster fed overnight that night, and that brought my milk in. It's wild, the communication that your body has with baby's body. They work together and kind of regulate things for you. It was wild to see her cluster feed for 2.5 hours, and then about 6 hours after that, it was like in the span of half an hour, I had nothing, and then so yeah, didn't need a pump though. As for going home outfit, I was like, maybe I'll bring an outfit or maybe I'll just wear what I brought to the hospital. I wore a dress to the hospital and I feel like that would have been hard to leave in. The reason I wore the dress is because it was the only thing that fit me. I was wearing that dress a lot by the end, and so by the time I left the hospital, I was able to wear pants and just a pullover hoodie. That's what I wore home. Not a pullover hoodie, it was like a quarter zip. That's what I wore home. In the hospital room, one thing that could have been helpful, but like, I don't think anybody needs this. It was just one of those circumstances where I don't know why the room didn't have this, but it didn't. A clock. I could have used a clock because they were asking me to document all of her feeds, and I was awkward feeding her. You know, like you're trying to figure out where your arms are going to be placed, and you're afraid you're going to delatch the baby if you move at all. So grabbing my phone to look at the time was difficult. Why this one singular hospital room that I've ever had, out of all the rooms I've ever been in, did not have a clock? Even like the nurses were commenting on it. They were looking to, you know, document for themselves and looking around the room for a clock, and there wasn't one. I don't know what happened to it, but that could have been helpful. Like a little digital clock, something tiny. I would never need it again, because I bet you next time, if I'm able to do this again, I bet you there's a clock in the room. But I could have used one. And in terms of like ostomy related stuff and health related stuff, the Element, I think I used once. They gave me a lot of fluids. So I wasn't super dehydrated like I thought I would be. I feel like I had maybe too much fluid on board, and also my blood pressure was a little high, so I didn't want to drink too much sodium until that regulated. I also had brought, I had mentioned this later on, I didn't say it in this video, the 29-week video where I talk about all the stuff I want to bring. I later had brought up that I wanted to bring a stoma cloak and I wanted to bring my Halo Ostomy Guard. The stoma cloak for protecting my ostomy from all the gunk when they gave me baby girl, also to protect her from my ostomy. And then the ostomy guard for when they put the monitors around my belly. I didn't wind up using either just because the stoma cloak, I didn't even think of it during labor. I went into labor so quick. Everything happened really fast. So I feel like it could have been helpful in keeping my ostomy discreet, but thankfully I wasn't super worried about it in the moment. I was having very painful contractions and the epidural I feel like didn't work maybe totally as it should. And then with the Halo Ostomy Guard, the monitors actually didn't sit on my ostomy at all. I lucked out with that. Who knows, maybe next time they would. I don't know if they position them based on how baby's positioned. Couldn't tell you. But I didn't need it for that, so that worked out. The Halo Ostomy Guard though is coming in handy for holding baby girl. She's getting a lot more active and kicking. Gotta protect the stoma. And also I use a Tush Baby now, which is kind of it's like a Velcro wraparound seat. It helps me hold her because she's getting heavy, and it sits right over my stoma. So that's being used now. And then I think the final thing that I didn't mention in that original video, but definitely got a lot of use, not by me, but by Zach, was the snacks. I had made a purchase of Thrive Market before I went into labor, and I got things like Chomps, I got chips, I'm trying to think, my hunks, my little chewy oatmeal-y hunks, brought a whole bag of that. I couldn't eat during labor because I had the epidural and, you know, just in case you get a C-section, but Zach used them. Zach had all the snacks. I didn't realize the importance of him having food readily available. You know, they had a cafeteria, but I was so afraid. I was in so much pain. I was so afraid of him leaving the room. I needed his support. So that came in very handy. Yeah, there's just so many things that you don't know that you're going to use or not use until you're in the moment, until you're in labor or you deliver or you're postpartum, whatever. And I did learn. So I thought it was fun to review what worked out, what didn't, and maybe if I can do this again, if I ever have another little baby, I will refer to this video and say, hey Maggie, don't waste the room in your hospital bag. You don't need to bring that. So yeah, I feel funny about some of the stuff. I'm like, silly that you brought that you thought that was going to be useful, or even just like the pump. I didn't wind up bringing it, but I feel silly that I thought I might need it. A lot of you guys told me you probably won't need it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that if you're interested in Thrive Market, you check them out. You can go to thrivemarket.com/LetsTalkIBD. That'll give you 25% off select items plus, and you'll get 30% off of your first order plus a free gift. The free gifts are amazing. I got a cookbook one time, and I have been using it over the summer to like pick out different meals for us. So make sure to check them out. Thank you again to Thrive for sponsoring this video. All right, guys, I will see you in the next. Bye. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are looking for a way to help support my channel, consider liking this video or even subscribing. You can also check out my store at LetsTalkIBD.shop. I have stickers and hoodies like these guys over here, just related to chronic illness and inflammatory bowel disease, something fun. And I also have a coupon code for my YouTube watchers. You could also become a member of my channel like the wonderful people scrolling on screen here. They've become a member and they have access to videos a little bit earlier. It's a great way to support my channel, and really, just watching my videos means the world. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next.